R. Ask Reddit. Parents of Reddit, why are you disappointed in your adult child? So, anecdotal, but still. I played football from age 10-17, took a lot of hard hits. 3. Diagnosed concussions. On top of all of it, I had many head injuries from falls and such throughout childhood. At 17 though, I fell while skating, busted the back of my head open and fell unconscious. I woke up shortly after, grabbed my board, and went home to wash up. After that day, I truly haven't been the same. I ended up dropping out of college due to depression, anxiety, which I'm guessing was exacerbated by the concussions and head injuries. Now I'm your normal slightly neurotic, but overall well-adjusted mid-20s guy. Married, stable job, apartment, hobbies, all that. But damn, I still struggle and wonder what could have happened had I not hit my head so many times. I love what I have now, but the days are still a struggle for me. I kind of rambled a lot, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is head injuries are fucking dangerous. It could have happened without you knowing. I mean, I got away with the big one at 17 somehow. I'm sorry about your son, and I'm definitely going to give my mom a big hug the next time I see her. I couldn't imagine what you've been through, but I hope it gets better. I have 3 other children and they all treat people with love and respect and we all have great relationships with each other. I tried to have the same with him. I gave him $1,000 for the place he's living in right now, would go pick up his 10 loads of laundry and babysit his kids at the same time, give them rides places whenever he asked, basically did whatever he asked of me. It was the only time he would even want me around and the only time I got to see his kids, yet he always had something mean to say afterwards within a week or so. And he never opened messages I sent him, seeing how he and the kids were if I hadn't spoke to him in a couple of weeks. I figure he evidently can't stand me, so it was best I kept my distance, especially the last conversation we had when he basically told me that my husband and myself are pieces of shits and worthless. Mind you, before all this, me giving him money, he broke my husband's ribs, and a year later was pushing me around the house. He went to jail for the ribs and we bonded him out, and paid all his fines. When he was at fault, we work, own our home, are sober people, who sit home and enjoy our home and pets. He seriously had me believing I was some worthless person and my self-esteem was pretty low. I believed him as if I had done him wrong someplace in life. Oh, if perfect timing. She's currently home for the summer and heads back to college in a few days. I feel bad for saying this, but I'm honestly ashamed that she's still enrolled there. This will be her 5th semester there, but she was supposed to have failed all her classes her 2nd semester, and 3rd, and 4th. Every semester, she skips class and parties, not even attempting her schoolwork. Then when the school goes to kick her out, she appeals the decision and somehow, I honestly have no idea how, gets her professors to bump her grades just high enough for her to pass and continue on another semester. She lost all of her scholarships and grants already. Initially, I was paying whatever tuition costs were left over, and then was paying 75% of tuition and she got student loans for the rest. She was home for break last semester and I overheard her on the phone bragging to one of her friends about how she doesn't do any work because all she has to do is file an appeal to pass her classes. I was appalled, and now that I know that, I'm not paying a dime. I just don't understand why she does it or if I'm somehow responsible for causing this behavior as her father. But, we were poor when she was younger and even now, we're maybe lower middle class. She wasn't spoiled and saw how hard I worked to provide for her. We had an agreement when she turned 16 that if she wanted a car, she was responsible for paying for gas. She got a part-time job and so I got her a used car. My thought was that working to earn gas money would teach her firsthand the value of $1. That was the best way I could think of to teach her and give her some real-life experience. I don't know if it didn't stick or what, but she seems perfectly content to keep up the routine and get a degree handed to her. I worked for everything I have, and everything she has. Her college fund was a result of me squirreling away every dime I could for 10 years. She's currently pissed at me for it, but I will not continue to use this money to literally buy her a degree. I've begrudgingly decided to take a step back and let her handle her education on her own. I'm not disappointed in my 18-year-old. But I sure wish I knew how to activate him. He graduated in May, has no desire to go to college and no real aspirations at all. He's pretty much been in his room on his phone since. He's struggled for many years with anxiety, which we're treating, and I know a lot of things are difficult for him, but man, I wish I knew how to get him excited about something, anything, whether it's a job or a hobby or a plan or whatever. At 18, I was exactly the same, didn't really care about anything, certainly didn't feel like an adult. I'm just shy of 23 now, and I did come out of it, slowly and painfully. At the same time, not everyone I know did. Some of my friends are in exactly the same place they were at the end of high school, except that they go to a job instead of school. So you can't just sit back and hope he figures it out either. I'd suggest helping him cultivate a healthy personal life more so than pushing him to start making money honestly. Hobbies are great help, especially if they push him to be a little more social. I spent absurd amounts of time as a teen holed up in my room with my guitar, and that skill eventually led to me branching out and meeting people at jam sessions. Not a parent, but some current drama in my family has my parents pretty upset with my brother. He was having trouble with maintaining a job, so my dad got him hired as an assistant in his painting business. All he had to do was show up and do easy tasks and he would have the hours needed to pay for his car and living expenses. He did fine for a couple of months, but then my dad and mom went on holiday. He went home early without telling anyone one day. Then the next work day he pulled a no-show. So my dad gets a call that he didn't show up and he won't answer his phone. Dad tried to call him and got no answer over several hours. Finally my mom got through to his girlfriend, who said that my brother told her he had talked to dad and he said he could have the day off. A complete lie. My brother is required to make regular payments to my parents for the car they helped him buy. As long as he keeps making payments, he has access to the car. If he misses a payment, he loses access to the car until he pays. He decided to get a delivery job that doesn't give enough hours to make his car payment, but still requires his car. So he says he got this job, and he needs his car, so he is allowed to keep his car even though he is missing payments. Everyone just found out he doesn't have a delivery job or a job at all, so he has lost his car and all references for a new job. His girlfriend hasn't been too impressed with the lying either. Edit. My brother is 20 years old and the youngest sibling of 8. The family dynamic in my story was simplified for easy reading. My family is actually split. Dad is actually my stepdad. Brother is my youngest stepbrother. I don't consider my step-siblings different from full siblings because my parents remarried when I was fairly young, so step-siblings, half-siblings, and bio-siblings don't have a notable difference. In total I have 13 siblings. While some of us only have 8, he does get spoiled for being youngest, and he also misses out on a lot because he is the youngest. I am almost 10 years older than him, and I didn't even meet him until I was an adult. We are fairly close though. Also, I am not really taking any sides in this. I don't approve of my parents giving him handouts and babying him, but I also don't approve of some of his behavior that he has picked up from the crowd he hangs out with. They are both the idiots here and, to an extent, the victims. I just sit off to the side and observe with popcorn. It is between them and they will figure it out. My mom held getting a degree as one of the pinnacle achievements you can do because it was such a big deal to her going back to school and getting her degree in her 40s. As someone who works in IT, I dropped out about a year into school and haven't looked back. That was 10 years ago. I hid that I dropped out for many years before I actually told her. She was disappointed, but in my opinion, the astronomical cost of a degree does not have a good ROI, and in IT, I've worked up to a very high salary level without one, certifications, mentors, learning on the job and at home. To me a 4-year degree doesn't make much logical sense in a fast-moving field like this one. Think there will ever be a time when a degree would be required? Back in the day my pops apparently worked for Fox as an accountant and he got a couple of his friends jobs with him. They were incredibly brilliant and worked hard, they just didn't have the degree. After a management change they asked everyone to present theirs and they all got let go, so that always worries me about the IT field. Like it may not be needed now but down the line it might. Then again I know nothing about how your career works. I'm in the middle of becoming estranged from my parents. They don't approve of how I'm raising my sons, and they can't even bring themselves to be around them. Our last attempt at a family vacation left my sisters yelling at my parents, and then storming off. Their complaint is that I don't have any boundaries for the kids. I do have boundaries. They just aren't the same as my dad had when I was growing up. He was a hard ass with major anger issues. He threw me up a stairwell once when I left my boots behind at a park. Due to living in that household, I'm attempting to let my kids grow up knowing that making mistakes is part of life. You just have to learn from it. In any event, my children are monsters and he can't get over that, so I'm about to cut him and my stepmom out of our lives. Not a parent but the child. My parents are disappointed in me because I basically failed out of college, UK, after demonstrating time and time again that I lack the direction, drive, foresight, and discipline to do well on my A-levels. My results came back today, Ed, and they're seriously pissed off. We'll be having a long discussion on my plan going forwards, but I can tell they've lost their faith in me. I can't blame them. I don't have faith in me either. I can elaborate if anyone cares, but I think I'll leave it here for now. When I did my A-levels for the first time, 4 years ago, I got DE, but my dream was to go to uni and become a teacher, so I resat 6th form and managed to scrape through and get onto my dream course. It all depends on what you want to do in your future. What are you passionate about and what would make you feel like you are making a difference? It doesn't always come to you straight away, but once you've discovered the job or field you want to work in, the drive and motivation to work well comes naturally. Don't feel too disheartened, you'll get there. In the meantime, you could get a job and start building applicable work skills. University is accessible at any age. My granddad went to university at 60 when he finally discovered what he wanted to do and what he needed to do to get to that position. Believe in yourself. The person I am talking about is my ex-BF's mom. I bet she's more disappointed in her son than imaginable. Let me start by saying that the lady has 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 son. The 2 daughters are completely normal, went through school, pursuing careers, on track with their lives. And then here comes the son. Their father passed away when they were all teenagers, so the mother had to raise 3 kids on her own. Unlike the 2 daughters who are grateful for their mother's contribution, this son of hers does not appreciate her at all and blames their father's death on her, died of disease, completely not her fault. He kept saying that she is evil while he is 27, does not have a job, and lives in one of her houses free of charge. She buys all of his groceries and appliances, pays for all the bills, and drives 3 hours to visit him 2-3 times a month to see if he's doing well. Instead of being grateful, this son of hers goes around telling everyone his mom is evil and how she is the cause of why he's an alcoholic with a convicted DUI, crashed the car she gave him and she had to pay for a lawyer for the case, why he abuses substances and why he dropped out of high school. Now is she a perfect person? No. Did she collude with her son to con $300 from me? Yes. Did she text me long messages every day that she wanted me to tell her son since he ignores everything she sends? Yes. Do I like her? No. But imagine being mother to this ungrateful 27-year-old never-ending nightmare whose bills you probably have to pay till you pass away. This is what scares me about having kids. You can't break up with, divorce them, you can't leave them, and they, probably, won't die before you die. She's 20 now, and we haven't seen her in 2 years. She moved out abruptly shortly after turning 18. Her mother was in tears as she collected her stuff and left the house joking with her friends. Completely broke off all contact except for a couple of texts related to tax, SSN info for financial aid, and a single email accusing her mom of being the root of her mental issues. We didn't really reply the way she wanted to that email, I guess, so we never heard from her after that. We've tried reaching out a few times, to no avail. She was never a particularly happy kid, but it didn't feel like we had an abnormal household. We tried our best, but I guess it wasn't good enough. It hurts because we just don't feel like we deserve the complete separation that's happened. It's like she thinks of us as abusers or something. Maybe in her head we are somehow. I don't know. We can't even discuss it, though, as she won't even reply to emails or texts. We're disappointed in all the time we're missing. We hope that one day she'll grow and come out of it, but these years have sucked. Holidays aren't the same. You sound pretty similar to how I would imagine my parents sounded a few years ago. If she thought it was bad enough to completely separate and you have no idea why, it seems that you are looking for something huge, but instead it was probably a culmination of a ton of things. My parents held me so far back in terms of developing mentally. On my own I could get straight A's, find amazing friends, get a job that more than pays the bills. Under them I was almost failing school, unsociable and depressed. They both say they did their best and that they were waiting for me to grow out of it. I grew out of it and that I don't look for their approval, rarely go to them for advice, and do not share my victories with them. They are a part of my life, but their failure to look internally and see their deficiencies cost us a chance at being close. Not saying it is your fault. Just try to connect to her on her level and look for the signs of when she withdraws. The thing is, children can and do perceive things vastly differently in childhood than their parents do, and even two siblings raised by the same parents can remember childhoods that are vastly different. This is because every child is unique, impressionable, comes into the world with their own genetic vulnerabilities, and processes their experiences within that context. What may have been a forgettable moment of imperfect parenting for you, may have been a very painful, traumatic experience for your child. That doesn't mean that one of you is wrong. It's true that in your experience you tried your best and did what you thought was right by her, and in her experience she was hurt by you. Both of your experiences are valid, but you are not the equals. As her parents, you have the bigger responsibility to make amends. When you email and text her, do you tell her you miss her and holidays suck without her? Have you acknowledged and validated her pain? Have you asked what it's like for her to have that pain? Have you asked her what you can do differently that would make her feel safe to come around again? Have you apologized for the hurt that you caused her, regardless of whether it was intended or not? At the end of the day, if parents want to have a relationship with their kid, they need to quit being defensive about how good at parenting they were and listen to their child and make them feel heard. When a kid tells a parent "you hurt me," they don't want to hear "I did my best," they want to hear "I'm sorry, how can I make it better?" I ain't a parent, but I am disappointed with my 23-year-old sister. My siblings and parents likely are, too. To preface this, my younger sister is well, young. She not only looks like a 16-year-old, but her maturity is the same. I love her, but she's so naive. Now, our family is close, really close, not Alabama close, but we all really like each other, get along, and love our parents immensely. When my older sister and brother-in-law had a ton of financial issues, my parents gladly let them, and their two adorable kids, stay in their house at the same time that me and my younger sister were staying, and this is a 2-story, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house. Not some massive mansion and we enjoyed it. Even now, my sister and brother-in-law live right behind us. All of this is great because we love spending time together and, more importantly, love the two little ones. I still live at home, only left for college, and college was only 1 hour away by highway, and so does my younger sister. Heck, my younger sister has lived in this house her entire life. Now, she wants to move out. Honestly, I can understand why. You live with people long enough and you just want to be away for a bit. That's how I felt when I moved into the college dorms. First few months were nice, but I quickly found myself wanting to go home. I got used to it, but I was happy when I finally got back home. However, my younger sister is nowhere near ready to be out on her own. She's got student loans to pay, car payments, food, gas, insurance, a dog to not take care of, and more. And that's just money. She is in a bad place emotionally, as well. I'm not gonna go into it. While I was looking at this like Brexit, my older sister called it a slow-motion car crash, and mostly interested in how this I'll pan out. My parents were more supportive. However, my younger sister then had the gall to act like an ass to my parents while the friend she'll be living with was around and explaining how this'll work. For example, when asked to pick up her stuff or let the dogs in from outside, she started complaining about being treated like a slave. Seriously, you're not a teenager anymore, act like an adult. So, it also shows that she doesn't understand the kind of work she'll have to do, like cleaning up. Honestly, my relationship with her is easily described as watching her constantly disappoint, but I'm hoping this'll force her to finally grow up, even though the last few disasters haven't. Also, I expect her not to stay friends with this girl once this is all said and done. I feel sorry for the other girl for what she'll have to deal with. Not a parent, but I had a rough time after graduating college and I felt like the world should have been disappointed with me. My mom is great, so she wasn't, but I couldn't find a decent paying job I liked. Went from customer service to retail plant sales to landscaping to park ranger to retail up store, all the while working online as a tutor. My parents still had to help me financially at times because I was too depressed to work full-time and just did part-time. Terrible period of my life. My girlfriend left me because the depression was too much for her. My brother in and out of mental health institutions. But I kept trying. I kept applying for different jobs. Finally I got an interview for a teaching position because of my tutoring experience. I now teach at a school that serves underserved youth. And sometimes I leave with literal tears of joy in my eyes because I love my job. Keep trying, guys. Keep sending out applications. Get creative. You can do it. P.S. My degree is in economics and I teach middle school science. My parents are disappointed in me because my life and our lives together didn't end up like a Hollywood film. I was signed up for football without asking, soccer, baseball, etc. They did everything that was seen in movies and expected it to play out like that. They thought I was extremely popular and well liked in high school and middle school. I was not. I was followed home and pelted with BBs and paintballs. When the kids started shooting paintballs at my father's house, my father kept telling me that my friends are shooting stuff at the house and those guys are jealous that, insert girl here, likes you. We had to get a lawyer to go to each kid's house and put an end to it. They expected me to have a job making $100K a year after college. I was a history teacher. They were shocked and surprised when I made nowhere near that amount and told me it was my fault. None of this stuff, I wouldn't give a shit about it. But when you hear your mother say, it wasn't supposed to be like this, it's supposed to be like the movies, you just can't help but feel sorry for her. It's like the weeaboo of yesterday. College was awful because they expected me to want to do something amazing. An actor, a lawyer, a doctor, anything that'll make you a shitload of money. I wanted the basic 9-to-5 and routine, stability, the goddamn salaryman payment plan. Apparently everyone had this idea and I was told I was soulless, depressing, and just boring as a person. I am now going through with that plan at 30. After quitting teaching I'm applying to a high position at my job, getting the credentials and moving up. I just wish I did it when I was younger and didn't dick around in school so much. I somehow managed to avoid student debt, so there is that. Also they beat me whenever things didn't go their way and I'm kinda salty about it. Not a parent, but this is about my pathetic soon-to-be ex-husband, and someone my mill will always praise because she's just as horrible. He's 25 and it definitely would be a disappointment if I had a son like him. Doesn't know how to shop for himself, cannot cook, has no savings, can't wash his own dishes, can't get his own food. I had to prepare his plates for him. No stable job, eats takeaway all the time, doesn't clean the room, chucks his clothes around like it's a football, expects me to tidy up after him, eats in bed leaving crumbs everywhere, uses my toothbrush, exfoliating gloves, face wash, towel, sandals and hairbrush, all because he knows that I'll have it there so he won't have to bring his. He relies on me to drop him off and pick him up, even though I have a full-time job and am always exhausted. He farts in my face and forces me to smell it. He demands sex all the time. He pleads for threesomes nearly every day. We're Muslims, so you can imagine the frustration of explaining to this man that it is not permissible. And I don't want to. He clutches his pillow and cries for his mum when he hasn't seen her for around 24 hours. They speak numerous times a day and he visits her every day whilst everyone is at work and he sleeps in. He doesn't know how to return clothes and store. He has no idea how to hoover. He doesn't wipe down the bath after he uses it. Doesn't flush the toilet. He goes from one job to another, never ever does the number of hours he's supposed to, can't even be bothered to ask for any wages that he is owed. He makes me pay for everything, promising he'll pay me back. He still owes me $5K. He shouts at his mum until she cries because he didn't get his way. He chucks insects and spiders at me until I beg him to stop out of fear. He always wrestles with me until I'm hurt, is on the phone when people are trying to converse with him. Anyway, that's just some of what I've gone through in merely 6 months. I can't wait to get rid of him.